And welcome to JFPSports. We are back. And you know what, Rick? We are back with a new segment. No Fluff Just Business. We're going to spend some time on some games that we like tonight in the MLB, particularly betting-wise. You folks out there know in the Garden State that you could place your wager on any of the legal betting sites. So let's start us off. Rick, what game do you want to start us off with tonight?
It's actually an AL East matchup. Yankees and the Rays. Paxton and Blake Snell. The last time Snell went out there, he couldn't last through the first inning, I believe. It was a day game. I mean, hopefully for the Rays' sake, it'll change tonight. But the Yankees are on fire. We've talked about these teams, and we kind of figured the Rays would be in there. But if we're just looking at tonight, the Yankees came off good solid pitching performances against the Blue Jays this past weekend. And let's be honest, the Rays had Baltimore. I'm not so convinced. I think the Yankees have come out hot. And I think that's going to continue tonight. They're a minus 160 favorite. Last time I checked about an hour or two ago. Might drop down to minus 150 or so, but I like the Yanks. Their offense we know is clearly better, and Paxton's actually turning it around. And Snell doesn't have the best numbers as of late. Like I said, he got destroyed last time out, so I'm going to take Yanks, giving a little bit, but we'll see.
I definitely agree with that. And Judge is just killing lefties, and Sanchez, just from the right side. The Yankees, if anything, this year, the past 2.5 years, it's just they've been such right-handed heavy lineup, and DJ LeMahieu is just on fire. He could very well be our AL MVP this year. So I could see them dominate, and you're taking the over?
I'm going to take the Yankees straight, minus 160. Because I could see it low. I could see it low, 3-2, 4-2, 4-1, but I'm going to say Paxton and Snell pretty much cancel each other out tonight in this matchup. But then I'll take the Yankees offense.
And just a side note for you guys, if you're going to take that game like Ricky P, just note Austin Meadows is out of the lineup with a lefty on the bump. I believe is their best hitter right now. So take that into account. My game from Puma's aspect is Phillies and Dodgers. Okay, we are at Philly, Citizen Bank. It's 87 degrees. I love to give that little statistic. Just to note, because when you're scoring runs, you like it a little humid. The ball definitely jots out and in that bandbox. But it's scattered clouds. The total we're looking at now is 9.5. And you've got the Phillies coming in with a plus 156. So Dodgers are minus 156. But guess who's on the bump with that? Clayton Kershaw, minus 156. That is pretty low, bro. When we used to take those games in the day, it was in the twos. Him and Max Scherzer automatically would be 210.
Well, I think going on the road, before you get to your pick, I think just going on the road, and the Dodgers have kind of sputtered a little bit here out of the break. I believe, is it Nola on the other?
No, on the other end is actually Zach Eflin.
Oh, Zach Eflin. Sorry, the other right. But I think Eflin, he's one of those, he can get hot, he can get cold, and Kershaw's not the same 7 innings, 1-run baseball anymore. You're most likely going to get a quality start with that 6 innings, 3 runs. So,
well, let me jump into a little stat book for you. With the Phillies and their fanatic, their rotation ERA is 4.53. That is 5th in the NL. Okay, I don't like that. But on the other end of the spectrum, you have Clayton Kershaw. He's 3-5 with a 2.83 ERA. 14 starts against the Phillies. He dominates them. Lefty-heavy lineup. Harper, Jay Bruce, those guys. Career-wise, though, Eflin against LA, 0-2, 9.18.
Yeah, that's tough.
In 4 starts against LA.
That's tough. And they have the lefties. They've got the Muncy, Bellinger, Seager. Right. That's tough.
And tough
Jock Peterson, who didn't play last night. Right. He came on late to pinch run.
I'm going to do you one better. I'm going to give you the price of 2 for 1. And for this one game, I'm going to go with Dodgers straight, minus 156. You got Clayton on the mound. But I'm going to take the under, and here's why. I don't believe there's going to be a ton of runs. I think Clayton shuts down the Phillies. I think, first of all, the Dodgers are the best team in the NL by far. I think we could both agree on that. And what do Rick and I always say? We don't want to count on one team to score all the runs.
And that's what might happen tonight.
Where it's like a Dodgers. I don't know.
So which one would you rank, under or Dodgers straight? If you're going to the window and you're only placing one.
I'm gonna go more on the total. Just
under.
You're gonna go under. Just for the mere fact of the Dodgers are coming off of an extra inning game last night.
Maybe a little tired.
I haven't fully gotten the lineup yet, but if I'm betting as of now, in this moment, gun to my head, I'm taking solely the total, 9.5. You got 10 runs to play with, basically. If it goes on 9, you're great. 5-4 game, you're good to go. But I would take the under. I would take the under of the total, just for the mere fact they're just coming from Boston. I know it's not a far trip, but it went into 12+ innings last night. And, both lineups must be very tired, I would assume.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to our second game for Rick.
I'm going to take the over in the Brewers-Braves. When that place gets going inside, let me start over. They're in Miller Park. Mm-hmm. When Bernie the Brewer starts sliding down the slide, it's usually because Christian Yelich just deposited one into the seats. And I don't know if he's going to do it tonight because of Fried on the mound, but I just think that place can get going. And I think the Braves, obviously, their offense might even be better overall than Milwaukee's. Max Fried, I think, is going to struggle. And on the other side, I say Fried more or less gives up probably 3-ish runs, but that's okay. I think Hauser, on the other hand, might be in trouble. The lefties of Freeman and Markakis, assuming they're in the lineup. Acuna is already off to a fantastic start. You got Albies, Swanson. The team can hit all over the place. So, look, I'm expecting these teams to not necessarily do a ton of damage to the starting pitchers, but I think both lineups do a really good job of wearing the pitchers out. So you might only get 5 innings, 2 runs off the starters, but once you get to those bullpens, if the Brewers don't have the lead, you're not going to see Hader, and that's really the only, in terms of trying to play it over, that's really the only bad arm on Milwaukee. I don't mind seeing Jeremy Jeffries and some of these other guys. Not last year's Jeffries.
Bad arm meaning that you can't rely on him right now, or bad arm meaning that...
Bad arm, I could see runs being scored. We talk about it all the times when...
Because he's coming off of the back still.
Right. That bullpen is okay. Mm-hmm. And the back end of the Braves bullpen, I'm not that concerned about it. I think if you take Fried off the mound, all of a sudden it becomes a plus matchup for the Brewer bats, because you have Grandal, Moustakas, Yelich. Now all of a sudden you're activating maybe Eric Thames at some point tonight. You activate those lefty bats. So yes, a lefty starter on the mound for the Braves, but if you can get him out, all of a sudden you have your lefty bat. So again, don't look for it right away, but I think as the game wears on, you might see runs start to come about.
Okay, Rick. So your second pick of the night is
over 10 runs, minus 108.
Okay, that's good.
I think it's minus 110 on the under, so it's pretty much down the middle.
The Fighting Christian Yelich's. My second game is going to be the second game of the San Francisco versus Colorado doubleheader. And I know it's playing with fire here because they just scored 19-4 in that game. They just scored a bunch of runs. But you know what? Derek Rodriguez is on the mound. He is nothing of Ivan Rodriguez.
Well, they just brought him back up.
Right. And you know as well as I do, when they just bring somebody back up, the innings aren't built up nicely. I mean, look at this stat of this year. In 7 relief outings, because they didn't have him as a starter, he was posting a 10.38.
And he was so good last year. I'm not really sure what's going on.
Tales of two tapes. On Colorado's end, you got Chichi Gonzalez. I remember Chichi Gonzalez in Arlington 4 years ago.
Yeah, I'm not. This is screaming.
This is screaming, take me.
I know.
And it's 14.5. And you know what? Puma's going to throw the money. Put $50. Put your grandmother's piggy bank that you've been saving, the bonds. $50, 14.5. Come on.
Well, the only thing that...
Total, I'm taking the over.
Well, the only thing I hate about this is... 2 things, and I like the pick because anytime you're in Colorado, I think the over starts at 10. Bare minimum, you're getting double digits.
I think the lowest I ever saw was 10.5.
Yeah. The only problem that I see is I just don't like taking that many runs because usually as teams you could sometimes like ease into. Like I just said, I'm taking over 10, but I'm only expecting maybe 3, 4, 5 halfway through the game. I'm not worrying. Right. If I only get 3, 4, 5 by the 4th inning in this game, I'm freaking out. Right. So I think that's something, and you're okay with it. I'm just not the type of player that I think both teams can score. But we talked about the Giants. They struggle. Yeah. Now, granted, tonight, or at least
everyone's a little more worn down.
Right. Everyone's a little more worn down, but I think the Giants might score enough. I'm looking at this game differently, and I didn't have this game on my sheet, but tell me what you think of this. Team that wins game 1 almost never wins game 2. Absolutely. So I'm thinking like this. Chichi Gonzalez, no good. Derek Rodriguez, no good. But what I do have is a team in Colorado who only scored 2 runs. But I have a team in San Francisco who just put up 19. I'm just saying
they're coming out scoring 11.
I think Colorado might be one of those because we knew from inning 1 when San Francisco I think put up 5, it was game over today.
Right.
Even with Jeff Samardzija on the mound, it was game over. Yeah. When they were able to get 5 off Marquez early on, but I think Chichi Gonzalez, look, if he can only give them 4 innings, I think they would take it. Derek Rodriguez, on the other hand, they're stretching him out. So they know at most he's going to give you 4 or 5, so that's not an issue. I would lean Rockies, but I get where you're coming from. I would never take a Rockies under, but as you could understand, if you don't have at least 5 runs by the 4th inning, you're in trouble.
You're in trouble.
And none of the Rockies, what I will say back to the Rockies straight, none of their good relievers really pitched.
Right.
So at least you have them available. Right. Just to throw that out there. And these doubleheaders are tough.
Absolutely. Rick, what is your third and final pick?
The Reds and the Cubs under. Now before I tell you what it is, tell me how many runs you think it is. I'll give you a hint. It's a flat number. It's not a half.
10.
10 on the dot. I don't know if you looked, but it's 10 on the dot.
Okay.
Minus 106. I love the under. It's Castillo, Mr. Castillo. I think his coming out party in the All-Star game, because a lot of people don't know about him, against Kyle Hendricks. Now, the two of us both throw harder than Kyle Hendricks, but what I will say, and Castillo throws harder than we'll ever see, so 2 contrasting styles, but both pitchers are really, really good. This jumped out to me, and maybe it's a Wrigley Field thing, and I think, and maybe you could agree, maybe you disagree, when you get to Wrigley Field, everyone says, oh, we think of runs, it's a smaller park, the Cubs can score.
I never think of that.
But I don't either. I think if the wind is blowing in...
That's what I was just going to say, the wind.
It's very, very difficult.
Ivy.
And I think Castillo is more than capable of shutting that team down. And I think Kyle Hendricks is more than capable of shutting Cincinnati down. So this is the way I look at it. Cincinnati can score pretty well. I would equate them to like San Diego. When they get hot, they can score a lot, but there are times where they only score a couple runs.
It's a dud, yeah.
Yeah, it's a dud. I mean, not like Colorado. I've talked about Colorado. They get you 0 or 10. That's a nightmare. But I think about it like this. I need one pitcher to get hot, right? Both are capable of going deep into games. We're not talking about some of these other guys, like for the Yankees, for example, or the Rays, like a Yarbrough or a Stanek or one of those guys. You only know they're only going to be there for 4 or 5 innings or whatever. Both these guys can go deep, and I think one of them will get hot. Is there a chance both of them get hot? Yeah. Is there a chance that none of them get hot?
Absolutely.
Absolutely not, but I'm going to say at least one of them do. Chances are Kyle Hendricks at home will be solid, and Castillo comes in throwing 98. So I don't care how good or bad you are, it's still 98, who was an all-star pitcher. So I'm just saying, I'm going to take a chance on the under. I need 11 to beat me. That's the number. See, that's the thing.
That's pretty high.
That's pretty high. So Monday night, I'm taking a chance on 2 good pitchers. I'm going to go under 10.
You know what? I actually really like that. For my final pick, Toronto at Boston. Okay, guys? And listen, we just mentioned it with my first game, with the LA-Philly game. They're coming off the same game, extra innings. Little tired. But Puma's going to throw you a curveball. We're going high, and here's why. Trent Thornton against Rick Porcello. Does it really sound like Bob Gibson against Whitey Ford? No. So, Trent Thornton, 3-6, 4.85. Rick Porcello, 6-7, 5.33. Yeah.
I wish you could bet both of those teams to lose. Is it possible for two teams in the same game to lose?
Let's give you some lifetime numbers. Last time Trent Thornton pitched against the Boston Red Sox, 7 runs allowed, 11 hits. Career against them worst.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, you're like smiling to the bank right now. Rick Porcello, lifetime against Toronto. He is 10-12 with a 5.47 ERA in 27 games.
Is the only and I love the pick.
This is not even counting the bullpen.
No. Right, both bullpens are nightmares, except for Giles on one side.
But we got to get there.
Right, you got to get there, and unless Craig Kimbrell's coming back to Boston, I'm not worried about that bullpen either. And they used a ton of arms last night. What I will say is it's scary because Porcello, we know he could be
gonna roll.
He can get
weirdly
good. Thornton, I don't expect to do anything.
He'll pitch to contact and get right.
Right, I don't expect Thornton to do anything. But I do. It's one of those things like Porcello's having a bad year, but like even guys who have bad years, they have good starts once in a while, especially guys that are proven. So like. What you're saying is you expect the Red Sox to score a lot.
I expect them to trounce them. It's at minus 188. I would take Boston and the over 10.5.
So at some places you can combine them. You can't make it two entities. You can't say Red Sox money line and over. But there are some things where it's already plugged in together. Right. So that's what you would recommend. But that might be a smaller bet.
Right,
I would lean
put
over.
25 out there.
You would lean over Red Sox.
I can't. I mean, look at the numbers. The
minus
numbers
188 is still a little hefty.
Right, but the numbers just
on Porcello.
Yeah, the numbers just suggest, especially at Fenway. It's not like we're at Toronto. That could possibly go either way. Yeah. We're at Fenway, and I know it was a late game, but they just had to wake up in their bed again.
Yeah, I just expect Porcello to kind of do well. So I agree with both of the picks. I would probably just reverse it and pay a little bit of a heftier price on Boston, just because for some reason if Thornton wakes up and feels like he is Zach Greinke for whatever reason, I'm just saying I would try because I don't know if Toronto's going to score.
Right. Well,
who knows? Yeah, we think we both expect
with all
Boston
this
to
stuff.
score.
It's all crapshoot, people, and that's the thing. Have fun out there tonight. And go get those picks. Rick had his 3. I had mine. And that's No Fluff Just Business. JFP Sports, where fantasy and sports talk lives. Till next time, folks.